Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler, and I am the CEO, president, founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, and also the chairman of Runday. Today on Runday Presents, we have our incredible guest. Jordan Wahbeh is a serial entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's an all-around good guy connected with the global startup system. He's located in the heart of Silicon Valley, and today we're going to talk about what is happening in Silicon Valley, what's happening in generative AI, almost couldn't say that, generative AI, and what's happening in the entire world. Thanks. And we will be here with Jordan in a second. Yes, Jordan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's raining like crazy in Silicon Valley, but damn right, I am in the heart of Silicon Valley.
That's right.
And if you're not in it, you're missing out. Whoever's listening, you should be here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley is where it happens. So, yeah, they said there's going to be rain for another 9 days or something, Jordan. I hear that it's like a 17 times bigger than the Mississippi River is what they say. It's an atmospheric river. Is it like that?
It is great. We need the rain. We're below 50% where we should be. And if you're listening, a lot of this rain that falls in the Bay Area flows all the way down to the central of California, where all the vegetable basket of America, where all the vegetables are created and made and shipped. So this is needed, not just for California, but for the rest of the country.
So, Jordan, what's going on in Silicon Valley? You know, the rumor has it that it's picking up a lot, and especially around generative AI. But what's the attitude and what's the mood out in Silicon Valley right now?
Well, the generative AI and AI in general has injected a new sense of opportunity. Through COVID, we were focused on healthcare and some other elements. Then we had the big spike in valuations, and that drove all the investments down in late 2022 and 23. Generative AI has done a few things, in my humble opinion. One is it's created a new industry, an entirely new industry in just everywhere you touch, which gives opportunities for investors, small and large, to partake and participate. The second one, it kind of erased and removed a lot of these struggling, weakish type sectors where they're trying to do something, but generative AI said, get out of here. I'm going to do this better, faster, quicker. We don't need you anymore. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about just sectors and solutions that were trying to be AI, but they weren't really. The third component, and you've heard it 100 times, this is the new revolution. Generative AI is going to do to the industry what cloud did to the industry 10, 7, 8 years ago. Before cloud, it was a certain way of doing business. When the cloud showed up, it unleashed, it opened up, it unlocked so many different business opportunities, not just in the context of capital investment, but in the context of life and living. Without the cloud, you would not have 20 apps on your phone. And without that, most of your life would be very complicated. Imagine not being able to bank online. Imagine not being able to book from your phone. Imagine not being able to do WhatsApp and text. So this generative AI is the cloud, again, just called generative AI. What that's going to do is going to give us all opportunities to really do so much more with what we have today.
So what kind of companies are you seeing out in the Silicon Valley that are happening? So when you go into these meetups now, how does it compare to what happened a year ago or 2 years ago? What are you seeing now?
Just like the cloud, the top 10, 15% is going to thrive and succeed, and the bottom 85% are going to be in the generative AI graveyard in a year or so. There's four basic elements. One is four basic sectors, subsectors. One is the infrastructure, the GPUs, the engine's going to drive all of this. There's extensive investment in this. Three factors come to me as Jordan. One, I look at these compute, the ability of the chips to keep up and maintain and produce the performance you want. The second one is the energy, the electricity that's going to power these data centers. Some of these data centers, actually, the generative AI, the big three players in the generative AI space, going to consume more energy than a small nation will in a given year. That's going to give rise to what do you call it? Other ways of generating energy. Going to give rise to cooling technologies. Going to give rise to innovation in chips to reduce the power consumption substantially. We're looking at a company, I cannot say the name right now. We're looking at a company whose main mission reduce the electric consumption of the chip substantially. The buyer of the chip is purely on, I need to pay a less electric bill. So that's one area that you could focus on. The second one, which is my favorite, is the foundational models. What does that mean? The enterprise class, all the companies that are adopting AI, they have to deal with opportunities and with risks. Risks are security, poisoning, leaking, and what have you. You're going to see a ton of opportunities there trying to work with. Think cyber a few years back and how all the cyber became a key deliverable for all the corporations. Same thing. The second component is on the data side. Where would you get all this information to train the ML and the rest of your utilities? You cannot take it from the public sector because more and more public sector owners are holding up to their data, actually suing. I think the Wall Street Journal is suing somebody for using their data.
I just saw that there's a couple articles, and then I saw the CEO of Microsoft said, well, what is copyright if it's not? If you just, you learn something from somebody else and you regurgitate it and come up with a new model or new theory, is that really copyright? Because that's how we learn, right? So, I mean, it's kind of interesting.
It's fun. It is fun. We're going to see a lot of good things come out of this, right?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of it. Because
there won't be a winner or a loser, Gary. It'll be just an evolution.
Reality, this generative AI is learning on something that's out there, and just because it goes down through and creates something new, who owns that? Then who owns that? Who owns the generative AI?
Who owns it? Who manages it? How do you license it? How do you integrate it? It's a new set of data, right? You got all this information that's going to be created based on tons and tons of information. Synthetic data is going to be a big player. Companies with synthetic data are going to be a big player, substantial player, especially in the training space.
Tell them about synthetic data. Tell the audience out there what synthetic data is.
You got it. For example, who's getting an IPO right now? The name of the company is...
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of the name. I wish I could. Reddit.
No, it's
Reddit, I think. In all cases, they're IPOing because the data they manage and they house is of such great value. So much value on that data. The same goes with Quora, Craigslist, all these platforms that have tons and tons and tons and tons of public data. They're going to be a good target for acquisition just for their data.
Because the data is the key. Data is a good new currency. So if we look at it that way, these companies are coming in. I mean, they're generating. There's so much data, so many jewels that are out there they can use to mine to do incredible kinds of things. But we just have never done them before. Whether it's med tech or it's fintech or it's supply chain, doesn't really matter. There's data. And solving those data problems. And what do you think? What's happening? So what trends? So you see the generative AI trend, Jordan, but what trends over the last 2 years have you seen really start to morph forward? What are people talking about right now? So I know
the last 6 months, Gary, is where I'm paying attention to be honest with you, because prior to November, that wasn't a thing. The synthetic data, which is what you mentioned, it's the ability to create training data in a way that is A, license-free, and B, clean and unpoisoned, and 3, is curated and tailored for the utility of what they want. If you are creating generative AI for X-rays, or you're doing something for travel, you're doing something for enterprise finance, the raw data, the one that's out there, it's going to go back to cleaning up the data. So synthetic data becomes I'm going to deliver a packet of data for you to train your stuff on. Perfect. So companies are going to create that and going to maintain and provide that in a way that makes sense. They're going to thrive. You got probably a year and a half before they become a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other trend is on the chips. There's substantial demand for GPUs, as you know, but at
I mean,
some
there's not enough processing power out there. Where are we going to get it with all the demand that's out there, Jordan?
That's where the innovation is going to come in. It's going to say, let's create an alternative to the supply crunch, right?
Mhm.
You know, the big players are buying just most of the supply. All the big tech companies have acquired. Microsoft, Meta, uh, Google, and Amazon have hoarded tons and tons of GPUs. That's not going to last forever. There will be innovations and drivers to create alternatives to whatever the designs are. Uh, I'll go back to the energy. Energy is the biggest obstacle facing generative AI compute power. You have to power those centers. And um, candidly, it's economics. If they can't afford it, they're going to bill for it, charge for it. The consumer may or may not pay for it. The third component is what I call the AI, the utilities of AI, the applications of your eyes. These co-pilots, they're going to do a couple of things. They're going to eliminate a lot of white collar jobs, and they're also going to create a higher level of performance for the remaining white collar jobs. I'm not talking about just lawyers and coders. Everybody who has a desk job going to need to use co-pilots to run and manage their daily activities as a matter of default, like using emails, like using your cell phone. If you don't have a co-pilot, if you don't have a generative AI component to what you do, you will be obsolete in 6 months. Not 1 year, in 6 months. I've
Yeah,
seen it.
yeah, it's going to happen quickly. And these enterprise companies that are out there that don't adopt to this change are going to find themselves out of business because there's smaller competitors that adopt the technology to be able to help them with their business. They're going to go past them because you're right. It's all about the data, right? And if you can use that data in all kinds of different ways, but those companies that try to hold on to it and not adopt are going to die.
The other side, Gary, it's a war.
Yeah,
Who's got a better AI?
yeah,
On the cyberspace, it's easy. AI is going to try to penetrate. You're going to create an alternative defense, and it's going to be an escalating cycle. But for me, as an enterprise owner, I'm competing with Gary, doing the same thing, using AI, generative AI, to improve my sales, my marketing, my logistics, my HR, my finance. Not to save jobs or save money and remove jobs, but to become more competitive in my market.
yeah.
I I I don't mind. I was a big user of Hootsuite,
Hmm.
and last month they hit me with a doubling of the bill. I'm like, what? You really doubling? I'm gonna go look elsewhere.
Why did they double the bill?
It's not important. Whatever they did.
Kind of strange that they would do that in a period of time. Maybe they're under pressure to make profits, right? But that's
Could be. So that forced me to go outside and looked, and I saw 3 or 4 different tools. I'm like, huh, what have I been doing for the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months? How come I'm not really looking at everything I'm doing? So I found tools that allow me to curate and pull the content that I want and format it and post it and do so much more with a lot less effort.
yeah,
That compelled me to think, where else am I stagnating? Where else am I not looking into a new tool, a new enhancements, a new improvements? This is me, just small me. Can you imagine a medium company, 700-800 million dollars of revenue, or a large corporation or a global corporation? So I am looking for companies, investment trends are looking for companies that are going to take the existing enterprise solutions and level them up 2 or 3 up
hmm,
using. The reason I like those better than others is they're already in the business. They already understand the process. They're already understanding what this business is about, what the process flows, blah, 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 blah. All you have to do now is add that next 2, 3 levels of integration with AI, and then your customer is sticky. You're going to have a higher valuation, and eventually these guys will be acquired by big players. I
No,
remember the days of the cloud. Remember the cloud when we have 55 different players?
oh yeah. I remember the cloud when it was called Thin Client.
Now we have 3 or 4 big players: Microsoft, AWS, and others. But all the small ones just, Gary, I guarantee everybody that's listening, within 6 to 12 months, this business of generative AI will be wow, not go from wow to I need it. If I don't have it, I ain't going anywhere. So for me, I'm looking for the enterprise class. I'm looking for the power management and the enablement of the GPUs, not building GPUs, but enabling all of this. And I'm certainly looking for the foundational models that would manage the data, create the data, make the data less expensive, make the data better. And you and I are going to go to the mall. We're going to start buying packets of ML training for whatever application you want. I'm kidding, but it's going to be just like that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're not trained. That's another thing. People are going to have to be educated on these new tools that are out there.
Indeed.
So they're going to have to do it very quickly, because if not, they're going to be dinosaurs.
Not only dinosaurs, Gary. Remember your cell phone when you had packages? For this price, you get this. For this price, you get more. It's going to be just like this. As an enterprise, you can subscribe to good model, better model, great model.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to give rise to, just like all services, quality of service. It's a cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that. Companies that can run the fastest, that are most optimized, that have the best technologies out there. And it's just the difference between now and 20 years ago is the time of change, right? It used to be every 2 years or 18 months, the power of the computers would double.
Mm-hmm.
The price would stay the same, but now it's different, because it could be quadruple, and it's going to change everything.
One of the companies we're looking at, they're using generative AI to identify new chemistry for herbicides.
Mm-hmm.
They're called progeny. It's a simple concept. The current model to create herbicides is an old model where you have quite a few scientists looking at components, elements, and building them and testing them and building them and testing them. He's using magnetic resonance to identify the structure that would work better and create recipes. You are some large herbicide manufacturer. I'm not going to mention names because it's not right. You want something to address this particular situation. You could invest in people, or you could leverage this platform. Say, give me a solution. Make me a new burger. Make me a new herbicide. They'll use this at substantially lower cost, Gary, at a much faster pace. And if it works, license and run. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be, Jordan.
Instead of paying $200 million to create one, you pay a few $1 million and off you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the status of the future for just about everything we do.
Change is going to happen very quickly, Jordan. It's going to happen very quickly. So you want to get out, you go down through, and you're looking at these companies. What's the number one mistake that these startup entrepreneurs have when you talk to them, and you got to straighten them out?
There's a couple of there's 2 categories. There's the skill set and the efficiency. To be honest with you, aside from not having the right pitch and the right business model, what have you, they fail to recognize that the investor is a customer, and you have to curate your solution to that investor. And not being able to speak to the capital provider in a way that appeals to them and works for them, it will always get you nowhere. Then you follow up with the second item, which is the investor is expecting problems in your solution, is expecting challenges, is expecting, we're investing because we want you to grow, not because you're perfect. If you're perfect, you're too expensive. And they fail to recognize that.
Sometimes we forget that they want you to grow, right? It's like, especially now when you're raising money, it's not so easy if you don't have a growth plan strategy. They're probably not going to pass.
Exactly. And you've got to understand that the investor isn't looking to to punch holes in your theory. They're looking to understand what you're doing. And once that happens, you may be a better fit, or you may not be a fit at all.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to reach that conclusion. Do it early on. The other side is a sense of entitlement. I see many founders says, my God, I have to send 100 emails to get to the investors. I'm like, you're raising 2 million. You're not going to find that one magic solution to get you where you are. You've got to put some effort and some energy into it. The process of talking to 50 or 100 investors is not about just getting the money. It's about understanding and learning and absorbing what 100 intelligent people are telling you about what you're working on. And I go back to the story of Airbnb. I think it was Airbnb or Uber. They said, we talked to 150 investors before we got the first check.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, your pitch on day one, the first 10 investors, is not the same one that you did for the last 150. You've evolved. So the biggest mistake from that perspective is talking to investors isn't a lost proposition, because you could learn what your customer wants from you. The last piece.
Yeah, well, that's customer development, right? Go out and
Yes.
hypothesis testing and all that. You're right about it. If you don't do that, you may build something nobody wants, or the price is too high or too low. That's crazy. You want to leave money on the table. You don't want to go down through and assume that they have something they may or may not have. Make sure you do your due diligence. That's part of your job, is checking out.
It's like thinking the investor is a bank, but the investor isn't a bank. It's an intelligent entity trying to also support you. Last is don't let the news about it being tough and hard dissuade you. If you look at the numbers, on average in the United States, the VCs and the angel investors have invested $1,000 million a month for the last
$1,000 million a month.
Last for seed and Series A in Northern America.
Wow.
That's down from 22 and 21.
Yeah.
But it's still a truckload of money. So if you,
depending on who you are, you may spend it all in one shot. It may last you a couple of years.
but if you can't get a few million from 1,000 million a month of accessible capital, then that says something isn't right. Something is fundamentally wrong with.
That's for sure, right?
How was that?
The storytelling is 90% of building $1 billion company. They said the
Or
story.
it may not be an investable company altogether, Gary.
Yeah.
Most of the time the founders are smart, intelligent, well-informed. But at the end of the day, it's competitive and it's your business. You need to know about your business more than anyone else in the room.
No, that's wonderful, because if you don't deep dive and understand this business, how can you help you?
What are you guys investing in these days? What are you looking at, Gary?
Well, I mean, we got all kinds of things. We're, of course, generative AI, but for some reason we've started to migrate more towards health tech. So we got, top professors from schools on the East Coast. We've got one of the American companies that we talk to. They actually have partnerships worldwide. That's interesting. And generative AI. We're looking for companies that have a dent. Companies are going to make a difference on the planet. Companies are going to make this a nicer place to live. Make a positive impact. If we don't do something, and I tell all those startups that if we don't do something now and fix the problem, it may be a point of no return. We never can fix it, and nothing good's going to happen.
Now, GSD Lab, it's you're on your 17th or 14th? Which
17th.
And when does that start?
End of February.
Oh, just a few weeks from now.
Yeah, so those companies are out there, man. We got to get you in and get shit done. It's not about the talk; it's about the action.
What's a good candidate for you, so I can go look in my pool of companies?
I mean, the thing is, AI companies that have some revenue that want to go global. That's basically it. And we help connect.
U.S. based only or global?
Global, of course.
Global. I know you bring a lot of companies from Africa. What's up with that? I know you
There's
have
just
some
really,
Egyptian in you, but come on, man, you're
there's
just
some
freaking
really, really
Egyptian.
smart people in Africa and places like Nigeria. They're just really gifted. So when you
Africa,
find them, they're like diamonds in the rough. Not a lot of people know where
it's
they are, and it's good to
it's a
know.
new frontier. It's a new frontier, indeed, indeed.
So, hey, listen, we're coming up to the top of the show. Closing thoughts, and what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Jordan?
Well, LinkedIn is awesome. Make sure you mention Gary's show so we know what it is. And we're open to deals, Series A or pre-Series A, post revenue. We would love to talk to you if you're seed. Even if you don't have revenue, we want to talk to you because in 6 months you'll be ready for us, and hopefully we'll help you get there. We have a very nice, healthy network with Network.VC, 10 chapters, 280 investors worldwide from 20 different countries. But the bottom line is this. Uh, Ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. And if you get 100 no's, there's going to be 101 yeses right after. LinkedIn, find us. Happy to talk to you. If you're right for us, we'll say, come on in. If you're not right for us, we'll tell you thank you, but we're not right for you to save you time and money. And most importantly, always listen to the Gary Show. I get on it every now and again, but I watch all the episodes, and Gary is a wicked, wicked good man.
Yeah, no, you're the same, Jordan. You're an amazing guy and resilient. You know, you've done a lot of incredible things. You know, it's I don't know about you, but boy, I'm putting a lot of hours in these days. It's like it seems like my days every day, even with generative AI, seem to get longer and longer. It's I'm covering
Gary,
more time zones.
this is the American way, man. I
Yeah,
was real quick. I was talking to a guy from Venezuela. He says, "You guys don't take summer vacation for 3 weeks." I'm like, "What is that?"
yeah,
He
yeah.
goes,
I don't know
"We
what a
don't go to the
vacation
beach for
is.
3 weeks." Like, we don't
I,
go to the beach for
I
3 weeks.
I don't know when I took my last vacation. That's a good point. I don't even remember. In
But
fact, I
there's a
don't.
difference, Gary. You kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah. No, it's fun. You get to talk to people just like yourself, you know, and get to spend some time and hang around. And it's
Before I
great.
forget, what is this Runday that I have up on my screen?
Runday is one of the portfolio companies in GSD that's really taken off. And I'm the chairman of Runday. And so that company is an always on generative AI company that has been really going out and hitting them closing deals. They're raising money right now. They're incredible group. The CEO is a 7-time serial entrepreneur with 3 exits under his belt. Last one was
7 times.
7 times and 3 exits. He's a Georgia Tech undergraduate in engineering, master's degree in business, that kind of thing. So we're having a lot of fun. You know, we got started together in the journey about a year ago, and really like it. And so I decided, you know, we're good friends. Besides that, so we have a lot of fun. And one of the things I said is we should do a Runday show in addition to GSD Presents. And so we've been doing that. A little bit different spin on it, but it's a lot of fun. And anyhow, listen, it's a little bit past. Jordan, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you out there for joining one more time. Runday Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Reach out to Jordan. He's a great guy, can help out a lot. He knows people all over the world, and he knows how to get shit done. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks so much. See you, everybody. Thanks,
Thanks
Jordan.
for having me, sir. Take care.